I want to ask you something that might sound strange at first, but stay with me, because I think it's one of the most important questions nobody ever asks people over 60. Every single day, inside every cell in your body, your DNA experiences damage. Thousands of tiny errors, breaks, and changes, every single day in nearly every cell you have. And every single day, your body has systems whose entire job is to find that damage and repair it. This isn't science fiction. This is basic, well-established cell biology that's been studied for decades. Here's what I want you to sit with for a moment. Research has shown that the efficiency of these repair systems can decline with age. But research has also shown that certain foods and nutrients can support the activity of these very repair systems. I'm not going to tell you that any food can reverse your age, because nothing can do that. And I think you deserve honesty more than you deserve a headline. But what I'm going to share with you today is real. It's backed by genuine, published research. And I think once you understand how your body's repair systems actually work, you'll never think about your daily choices the same way again. Stay with me. My name is Dr. James Carter, and for over 3 decades I've worked in integrative medicine, and I want to start by acknowledging something that I think doesn't get said enough. So much of the conversation about aging is framed around loss. What's declining, what's slowing down, what you can no longer do. And while there's real biology behind some of those changes, there's also real biology behind something far more hopeful. Your body's resilience, its capacity for repair, and the fact that this capacity doesn't simply switch off as you get older. It's still there, it's still working, and there's genuine science showing that what you eat can support it. Let's start with the basics, because I think understanding this will completely change how you think about your own cells. Your DNA is constantly exposed to things that can damage it, not just from dramatic sources like radiation, but from completely normal, everyday processes happening inside your own body. One of the biggest sources is something called oxidative stress, which happens as a natural byproduct of the energy production we talked about in mitochondria. Every time your cells produce energy, they also produce molecules called reactive oxygen species. And if these accumulate faster than your body can neutralize them, they can damage DNA, proteins, and cell membranes. Research published in journals including Nature Reviews, Molecular Cell Biology, has documented that the balance between oxidative damage and your body's repair and antioxidant systems tends to shift somewhat with age. Not because your repair systems disappear, but because the balance can become less favorable over time. But here's the part of the research that I find genuinely remarkable. Your cells have multiple, sophisticated DNA repair pathways, with names like base excision repair and nucleotide excision repair, that are constantly active, constantly scanning for damage, and constantly fixing it. And research has shown that certain dietary compounds can support the activity of these pathways, as well as support your body's own antioxidant defenses, which help reduce the amount of damage that needs repairing in the first place. This is the foundation of everything we're going to talk about today. The first food I want to talk about is pomegranate, and specifically a compound found in pomegranates that connects directly to something we discussed in a previous video. Pomegranates contain L-argitannins, which, like the compounds in walnuts we discussed before, get converted by gut bacteria into urolithins. Research published in journals including Cell Reports has found that urolithins can activate cellular pathways involved in mitophagy, the clearing of damaged mitochondria, which, by reducing the production of damaging reactive oxygen species from dysfunctional mitochondria, may help reduce one of the major sources of oxidative DNA damage. A study involving older adults found that pomegranate extract supplementation was associated with reductions in markers of oxidative stress over a period of several weeks. The second food is Brazil nuts, specifically because of their selenium content, and selenium has a direct, well-documented connection to DNA repair that I think very few people have ever heard explained clearly. Selenium is a cofactor for an enzyme called glutathione peroxidase, which is one of your body's primary antioxidant enzymes, directly involved in neutralizing the reactive oxygen species that cause oxidative DNA damage. Research published in journals including Mutation Research has found associations between adequate selenium status and markers of DNA damage, with some studies suggesting that selenium supplementation in individuals with lower baseline selenium levels was associated with reduced markers of oxidative DNA damage. Just 1 or 2 Brazil nuts per day provides a significant portion of the recommended daily selenium intake, and this is actually a case where more isn't necessarily better, since selenium can be harmful in excessive amounts, so this is genuinely a less is more situation. I want to tell you about a woman I'll call Ruth. Ruth is 68 years old, a retired pharmacist, and Ruth's story is one that I think reflects something many people experience without ever putting words to it. Ruth told me, "I've spent my whole career around medications and health information, and somehow I still felt like I didn't understand my own body." Ruth wasn't dealing with a specific diagnosis. She described a general sense of wanting to be proactive about her long-term health, particularly because of a family history of certain age-related conditions. We talked about incorporating foods like pomegranate and a couple of Brazil nuts into her routine alongside her already healthy diet. Ruth told me that for her the biggest change wasn't something she could measure on a chart. It was a shift in how she felt about her own choices. She said, "I used to feel like I was just waiting to see what would happen to my body as I got older. Now I feel like I'm having a conversation with it." That sense of agency, of participating in your own health rather than just observing it, is something I think matters just as much as any single biomarker. The third food is broccoli sprouts, and if you've watched other videos on this channel, you'll know we've talked about sulforaphane before in the context of inflammation. But there's a separate and equally important body of research connecting sulforaphane to DNA protection specifically. Sulforaphane activates a pathway involving a protein called NRF2, which we've discussed before. And NRF2 doesn't just support general antioxidant defenses. It specifically upregulates genes involved in detoxification processes that help protect DNA from damage caused by environmental compounds. Research published in journals including Cancer Prevention Research has found that sulforaphane consumption was associated with increased excretion of certain compounds in ways that researchers interpreted as evidence of enhanced detoxification activity. Essentially, your body becoming more efficient at clearing out substances before they have the chance to cause DNA damage. Before we continue, I want to take a moment to connect with you because this conversation means a lot to me, and I know many of you are watching this with your own personal reasons for caring about this topic. If you're watching this video, scroll down and share your age and what's been on your mind when it comes to your health and how you're feeling about getting older. I read every comment, and they help me understand what matters most to this community. And if this video has given you something valuable, please take a moment to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already, because the next food I want to share with you is one that connects to DNA repair in a way that I think very few people have ever heard discussed. And once you understand the mechanism, I think it'll change how you think about a food you probably already have in your kitchen. Stay with me. The fourth food is green tea, and I know we've talked about green tea before in the context of inflammation and autophagy. But there's research specifically connecting EGCG to DNA protection that I haven't shared with you yet. Studies published in journals, including mutation research, have found that EGCG can help protect cells from oxidative DNA damage in laboratory studies, and some research has suggested that EGCG may support the activity of certain DNA repair enzymes. I want to be careful here because much of this specific research has been conducted in laboratory and animal models, and human research in this exact area is still developing. But it's an active and genuinely promising area of study, and it adds another dimension to why green tea keeps coming up across so many different areas of aging research. I want to tell you about a man I'll call Walter, and I know we've used this name before in another video. But this is a different Walter, and 75-year-old retired pastor from Tennessee. Walter's story involves something he described to me as a kind of quiet anxiety about his own mortality. Not dramatic, not constant, but present, especially after losing a close friend to a serious illness the previous year. Walter told me, "I'm not afraid of getting older. I'm afraid of not doing anything about the things I actually have some control over." We talked about incorporating several of the foods we've discussed today into his routine, not as a single dramatic change, but gradually, over months, alongside his continued relationship with his doctor and his regular checkups, which he never reduced or replaced. Walter told me that the biggest change for him wasn't physical at all. It was psychological. He said, "I sleep better at night now, not because anything in my body necessarily feels different, but because I know I'm doing something. I'm not just waiting." For Walter, and for so many people I've worked with, that shift from passive waiting to active participation is, in itself, one of the most meaningful outcomes of this entire conversation. And now, the fifth piece of this puzzle. The one I promised you, and I genuinely think this is the most overlooked of everything we've discussed today. It's not a food at all in the traditional sense. It's something called fasting mimicking patterns, specifically time-restricted eating, where you concentrate your eating within a smaller window of the day, such as eating within an 8 to 10 hour window rather than spreading meals across 14 or 16 hours. Here's why this connects so directly to everything we've talked about. Research published in journals including Cell Metabolism and Nature Aging has found that periods of fasting can activate autophagy, that cellular cleanup process we discussed in a previous video, and some research has suggested that this can extend to a process sometimes called DNA damage response activation, where cells temporarily prioritize repair and maintenance processes during periods when they're not focused on digesting and processing food. I want to be very clear about something important here. Time-restricted eating isn't appropriate for everyone, particularly people managing diabetes, certain medications, or other health conditions, and this is absolutely something to discuss with your doctor before trying, not something to adopt based on a video alone. But for people for whom it's appropriate, research has found associations between time-restricted eating patterns and improved markers of cellular repair processes, alongside the other benefits we've discussed in terms of inflammation and metabolic health. The reason I consider this so overlooked is that most conversations about foods for DNA repair focus entirely on what you eat, and almost never on when you eat, even though the research suggests timing may be just as important as content. I want to share one final story before we close. I want to tell you about a woman I'll call Patricia, and again a different Patricia, from any story in another video. Patricia is 72 years old, a retired social worker, and Patricia's story is, I think, the most quietly powerful one I've shared today. Patricia had spent her entire career caring for other people. That was her identity, her purpose, for over 40 years. When she retired, she told me she felt a kind of disorientation that surprised her. She said, "I knew how to take care of everyone else. I didn't really know how to take care of myself. I'd never had the time to learn." Over about a year, gradually, Patricia incorporated many of the things we've discussed across different conversations. Foods rich in polyphenols, adequate selenium, sulforaphane-rich vegetables, and eventually, with her doctor's guidance, a modest, time-restricted eating pattern that worked with her lifestyle. Patricia told me something that I think captures the heart of everything we talk about on this channel. She said, "I'm not trying to live forever. I'm trying to be present for the years I have left. Really present, not just getting through them." She said the changes she made didn't make her feel younger exactly, but they made her feel more like herself than she had in years. I finally learned how to take care of the person I spent my whole life taking care of everyone else for. As we come to the end of this video, I want to leave you with something that I hope stays with you long after you close this tab. Your body, right now, today, contains systems of repair and renewal that have been working silently and continuously for your entire life. They've repaired damage you never knew happened. They've maintained the intricate, complex system that is you through decades of living. And research shows that these systems are still active, still responsive, and still capable of being supported by the choices you make, not perfectly, not magically, but genuinely. You are not too old for your body to respond to care. You haven't missed your chance. Every day offers another opportunity to support the remarkable systems that have carried you this far. And that's not a small thing, that's everything. If this video gave you something valuable today, please subscribe and share it with someone who might need to hear it. Leave a comment below with your age and what's been on your mind. I read every single one, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care of yourselves. Your body has been taking care of you for a long time. It's still listening.